Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on 790 The Bet. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray as we wrap up this show on this January the 22nd, 2022. A lot of twos in there. And we'll wrap it up as we kind of started it, talking waterfowl. And so good that our good man Bill Cooksey on this fourth Saturday was able to join us in on the conversation from his home in Jackson. And Bill, is we've had some interesting talks with Pat Pitt. And one of the closing remarks that Pat said, Bill, that stuck with me, well, a lot of them stuck with me, but he said, I'd sure like to talk to that Luke Naylor. Okay, I said,
yes, sir.
Is that what he said? Is that what he said?
That's exactly what he said. Tell him we need to sit down and talk.
Yeah, I don't know. So we're happy to have with us Luke Naylor. He is the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission Waterfowl Program Coordinator. Good morning, Luke.
Morning.
I don't know if you've ever have you ever had a chance to meet Pat Pitt, the legendary waterfowl hunter Pat Pitt?
I have not. I'm always available. Just a phone call away.
We're going to get you hooked up with Pat, and we'll just let you all have the show because
yeah.
Pat was he hunts out of the Landgill River, Landgill Lodge, he calls it, over near Harrisburg, and has hunted there forever. And the gist of what he's saying is pressure, 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 and I don't mean water pressure or anything like that. Luke, he was talking about the season itself from the standpoint of our good folks in East Arkansas and the Mississippi Flyway, that he's worried about generations to come will not be able to experience what they have experienced in his log keeping in years past. So from your position, tell us about what this season has been about. I know, thank you for doing your waterfowl reports through you guys with Keith Stevens and Randy and all the guys posting those things. So as we wind up in this final week of the season coming up next week, give us the Luke Naylor wrap-up, so to speak.
Yeah, pressure is definitely an issue, and it's not new at all. I mean, people have been talking about pressure distribution of ducks since at least the 1950s or 60s. So yes. Every time we think we have a new concept here, a new issue, a new take on things, it always helps to go back and look at history and realize that a lot of people have been talking about these issues for many years, and it kind of ebbs and flows. And right now, I guess we're probably in an ebb, and a lot of that goes back to, relatively poor production, on the prairies in the breeding grounds.
Yeah.
And overall, what we think are a lot higher percent adults in the duck populations coming down here. So you get poor production, you get a lot more adult birds. I've told people before, we all like to say we're all just fantastic hunters and we could fool any bird out there, but the reality is that we all like hatch-year ducks and 2-year-old turkeys. So the reality, we all look a whole lot better when there's young ducks around, and they've been just hard to come by, and they're always a little thinned out by the time we get down here, and that's been true for decades. That's also not something new.
Yes.
But when you start with fewer young birds and they get whittled down, so we're dealing with more adult birds, you get birds that just jump around a lot, and they've done that again this year. You get limited habitat early, got a little bit better on through the end of the year and up through now to some degree, at least in some river corridors, some public habitat are a little bit better now than what they were. I'm afraid we've lost some field habitat in a few places from that big rain, relatively big rain around the first of the year. Yeah. But yeah, now we're iced up. So when the ice thaws here, this afternoon or tomorrow, it'd probably be a really good time to be out in the field.
I'm headed to the field after this call, Luke. That's
a good.
Be ready for that 2:00 bunch of birds that feels the ground getting tacky.
Well, that's what we want here, and we want some optimism. We want some good news, Luke. Come on, we're bearing the brunt of all this over here in the media. They think it's a conspiracy. That all the ducks are someplace else. Well, It's December, as we talked about, and I'm being from Arkansas myself. I know it was Bill, I think it was the second or third warmest December we've ever had in this area. And then we hit January, and we're running out of time, and everybody's scurrying around and things along that line. And I know our commission, Luke, just met yesterday to talk about next year, the 2022-23 waterfowl season, but the frameworks, of course, have already set. So from your perspective, what happens when this season ends? Tell our listeners the formula that you guys use to look for next year.
Yeah, so as you said, the frameworks have already been set, already handed down by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Of course, all those, how that all comes about, it's all done in cooperation through the flyway system, and so it's really nice. There's really no, kind of hand wringing or back and forth or big arguments to be had. The discussions have already taken place, so we have a system in place that it just pretty objectively just takes numbers and plugs them into the models and spits out what season it's going to be. So there's not much argument to be done at that point. And so we got another 60-day season coming. We're talking about we'll be discussing potentially like we always do. We always talk about duck season and what might be the best option. And those proposals for us will come out in March.
Okay.
And be voted on in May. You have a 60-day comment period on those. So they're kind of going through internal review right now. I'm not going to spill the beans on any of that, but people can look for those season proposals among a bunch of other regulation stuff in March.
You guys do the split, and with your time off at Christmas.
We do. Yep.
And
we have a 3-segment season.
Is that, can you kind of tell us, is that pretty well set in stone, or is that something that you look at from year to year? And as far as your youth and military hunts, have they been successful, or are you looking forward to those? How's that working?
Yeah, so our seasons, we have a 3-segment, 2-split structure that's the most liberal we could be. So we can't have 3 splits and 4 segments, for example.
Right.
We can't do that. And so we've had that somewhat of a tradition, I guess, for Christmas Eve and Christmas closure, and then kind of a split early in the season. So I don't, varying from that is, we'll see what happens. I imagine the structure will be fairly similar to how it's been in past years. We're not talking about any kind of major change. And if they did do a major change, I would always recommend to our folks up the chain that if we do any kind of major change in season, so we actually kind of wait a year to implement it.
Yeah.
So we tell people in May what's going to happen, but give folks a full 18 months to really adjust. If we happen to make a major change in the structure we've had. So
that's
youth and veteran hunt, it just kind of fills in gaps depending on what season we say. Those things that could be a whole nother conversation topic at some point.
Well, that's what we want. That's what we want to do, because as Pat brought up, and Bill refresh me on this, talking about the goose season. Bill, what did Pat say? And I wanted to hear Luke say.
Well, it's going to vary, of course, by where you are in Arkansas. But one of his concerns is, when you do have a split, everyone's still goose hunting, and to the ducks, that's still hunting pressure. And same with, I guess, now, and I have not, this year I didn't even look at the Arkansas seasons, but I think y'all are back to having a youth hunt, right in the middle of the season. And, of course, Pat's all about kids, but it's still, boy, it should be nice to move that after the season and, give the birds a break. So he's all about finding ways to mitigate that pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's people hunt, but I hear from other people who think we need to be doing more goose hunting because to keep geese from eating duck resources out in the same fields.
Right.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
It's a trade-off, and the youth hunt it's only been one day. So we have like a 9 or 10 day first segment of duck season. Usually there's a few day break, like this year, there's a few day break.
Yeah.
Then a Saturday, and then there's another almost whole week. Maybe it was a whole week break. So that's pretty light pressure. Like that's extremely.
That's why we got to get
pressure.
you and him together so we can just let y'all go and we'll just sit back and listen. Again, we're talking to Luke, talking to Luke Naylor on Outdoors with Larry Ray. He is the program coordinator of the Arkansas Game and Fish Waterfowl program coordinator. And as we close out this this segment, and also with Luke. Luke, I know that you guys do a great job when it comes to publicizing. I wished ours would do what you guys do. It takes a lot of effort. I mean, so explain how you do those. Are you through with the waterfowl? Have we made the last survey?
It just happened this past week, but because of some weather issues and some aircraft mechanic stuff we had to work through, it'll probably be the beginning of next week.
Okay, folks, listen to that. Okay, yeah, and we'll have that posted on lroutdoors.com with that. Luke, thank you, man, for being with us, and we'll stay in touch. And like I said, we'll have the Pat and Luke show one day, and
look forward to it.
You guys are going. Thanks, Luke. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Luke Naylor. Okay, Bill, before I get out of it, let me tell you about next week, because we are going to talk to Real Foot Lake waterfowl fishing guide Cody Rodriguez, who lost everything during the tornadoes back in December. That big, huge boat that I fished on with him back in the summer was wrapped in half. But thanks to the generosity of all those folks up there, he showed up at his house one day, and his truck was loaded with bicycles and toys for all of his kids from the people that did it. We'll talk to him. Also going to have Hoot Hazelwood in the studio next week. He is a turkey hunting guru. He goes to South Carolina. This will be his 25th year to go to South Carolina as a guide over there. Anthony Landry from Tennessee Outdoors, the podcast. You folks need to watch that. We'll be talking to him. And Tony Dolly's going to step in here from the Tennessee Outdoor Writers Association. Bill, got any closing comments?
Get out there and make it happen. I mean, we've got just a week left of season, and this afternoon and tomorrow could be the best days of the year. So don't be afraid to get out and go for it. All
right. Thank you, Bill Cooksey. As we say, thank you, Shelby McCall. She's ready to get out here, I know, so I am too. She has that get out of here look. Bill, as we always say, it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. What else do we say? God bless the USA.